Behavior like that in the 30s would have costed that bitch a lobotomy. She would have gotten lobotomized. They would have been like, you're not in your right mind. You're behaving you're psycho. In an age where social media somewhat feels like a relentless echo chamber of dating content and the femininity coaches, and you have to be in your feminine energy, but you can't be with a man who's in his feminine energy because then now bring out your masculine energy. But then there's also a time and place for both your light and dark feminine and feminine energy, as well as endless debates about going 50-50 in relationships and whether or not that is a deal breaker or the true epitome of a modern relationship. We as a society, we live in a society, find ourselves neck deep in a whirlwind of do's and don'ts when it comes to contemporary romance. And it's really no surprise that Sex and the City has made a comeback among the 20-somethings crowd, me included. Watching this show kind of feels like a rite of passage, especially in a time where everyone is now trying to make sense of and decode romance through what? Like traditional conservative dog whistles and self-help platitudes. Let's be honest, as kids, many of us were intrigued at a show that had the word sex right in the title. It was like, whoa, hey, jackpot. Did I sneak in the wee hours of the night to try to watch the show when I was a kid and everyone in my house was asleep? Naturally. Did I quickly become bored when I realized that discourse regarding like emotional intimacy and availability were discussed among women who my 12-year-old self deemed as geriatric? Yeah. I changed the channel like at lightning speed and I watched like Nick at Night or something. My name is Jess. I'm very loosely diving into what I like to call, I've literally just named it 3 seconds ago, analyzing white media, a quest for genuine insight, which is me tasking myself with uncovering whether or not these alleged influential and admired series truly warrant their places in the pantheon of cultural greatness, or if it's just another case of overblown pop culture acclaim and mediocre rah-rah. After seeing countless genuine countless amounts of TikTok videos dissecting and analyzing Sex and the City, every single faux pas, every single romantic misstep, I figured it was high time to watch myself. I keep running into the problem where all the ideas that I have for content are like inherently for long form content. So I take them to TikTok. I did a very shortened version of what's going to be this video on my TikTok. Surprise, it flopped. But a week passed and then I was like, why did you post that to TikTok? So I'm here. I am, shocker, no longer 12, and now relate to these things that are being discussed in the show: love, career, friendships, what have you. I want to give a very big shout out to Cecilia Regina. I will put her TikTok on the screen. She's a much bigger creator. She does not need a shout out from me, but she is the reason why I even wanted to watch Sex and the City in the first place. When she posts a video, I'm sad. It's like a podcast, and I'm genuinely debating subscribing for her premium content because that woman is so full of wisdom and so insightful, and I genuinely think you should stop this video and follow her if you haven't. She posts great analysis. She's a cultural critic. She's so smart. I think that is how everyone should analyze and break down media. And the things that she says, those are in fact processes that I had like ever since truly I was like 11 years old and everything went wrong up here. But it's never too late to learn something new. This is what I thought of the show. I personally took 2 things from the earlier seasons of the show, primarily seasons 1 through 3. First of all, the season unfolds with a very interesting revelation that the idea that a woman's peak does not manifest until her 30s. Now, this is like, duh. You see like 17-year-old girls like humanizing 30-year-old women for the first time on the internet, being like, oh my god, when you're 30 you're not like old as dirt and bricks, oh my god, like we can't wait to be 30. And it's just something that you kind of have to go whatever, because age is such a fickle and strange thing when you're like from the ages of, honestly, under the age of 25. So I don't want to be mean when I hear your takes being like, life doesn't end at 30. Yeah, no shit. Life, it's barely begun. You don't shrivel up and die when you're 30. It's like, duh, obviously. However, this assertion defies societal norms that typically depict your 20s as the peak of vitality and achievement. Through the lives of these four characters, Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte, I was gonna say September, whoa. Carrie, Miranda, Charlotte, Samantha. Viewers witness the presence of actual stability and actual self-assurance as they navigate the intricate web of relationships and careers in a very bustling city like New York. However, it is important to remain practical at all times, unfortunately, and like recognize the fact that it was probably very unlikely for like the average 30-year-old to be super established and like be able to afford a very nice place in New York City by themselves. Now, are we going to do any kind of anthropological research in order to back that up? No. In no way is this channel supposed to be accurate, okay, or educational, and I'm gonna hold your hand when I say that. We're here to discuss the psychological effects of a big on a person's life, not the economy. Now, the woman's interpersonal and emotional landscapes are very unsettled at times. It's very spooky-ooky. Those lack very clear bearings, and the entire premise of the show is that they need work. It's always a work in progress. But the series suggests that these foundational aspects, whether it be a community, like a circle, established career, whatever, what have you, even like hobbies, these mature and solidify over time. Time takes time. For anything to crystallize, it takes time. For anything to mature, it takes time. You can't touch a milestone without time. You can't reach and achieve these things without time. And I think this is a very important thing to remember, especially in a time and the internet has morphed into this very complex yet beautiful thing where it's like 20-year-olds can now sustain themselves and make a career on the internet, and like everything's very grind till you die pilled, and like Emma Chamberlain Architectural Digest, her beautiful home that if I could rob a house and zap it and have it be for myself, Emma Chamberlain, I would rob your house. I'm sorry. I'd rob your house, Emma Chamberlain. Your house is beautiful. The show gives me a very gentle reminder of patience and perseverance when it comes to cultivating a life that you want to one day be well-rounded. Also, that your 20s may, guys, shocking, be more about exploration and preparation rather than culmination. I think viewers are invited to reconsider their own timelines and expectations, recognizing that personal and professional fulfillment may take a little bit longer to manifest, and since that, then society suggests, shocker, and I'm leaving it in. There's like 8 trains per second. I don't have time to, we don't have time to, let's keep going. Wow, I'm on one. But it's nice. As someone who unfortunately blocked out their formative years, much like a 1960s child who found his depressed mother's statue of barbiturates, that's not a word. I feel like my 30s is when I'm going to hit my prime. I haven't even begun to touch it yet. Specifically 33, that's when I'm going to be the sexiest, most well-rounded person you've ever met in your entire life. So everyone stay tuned for that, I guess. Secondly, this point was a little bit more pressing and haunting. I noticed the complexities of gender dynamics and power struggles when it came to these ladies' personal relationships. A recurring thing that was very interesting was these women and their tendencies to withhold their true feelings or information from their male partners, often at the expense of their own boundaries and well-being. It's like Carrie not telling Big that she doesn't want him to date or look at other women. Him also doing it so unabashedly in front of her. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, we're not gonna get to that. That man didn't respect her. Like Charlotte with that guy who wanted to put it in her. I'm trying to find a way to say this with couth. I don't want YouTube to demonetize me. Charlotte did have a boyfriend, lover, fling, who wanted to put it in her back end. Let's move on. I said that. Okay. You get it. Charlotte again with the head pushing guy. God bless her. God bless that girl. And I'm not even kidding. In season 6, when Carrie hooks up with Harry's friend, she herself acknowledges that sex like that is very similar to men using you to masturbate instead of his hand, meaning it's too quick, it's uncomfortable, it's borderline like violent and uncomfortable for you. And when that stupid, awful man wants to hook up again, instead of flat out expressing that the experience absolutely was not enjoyable for her, she makes up some like lie or something in order to appease and spare this man's feeling. And then he goes to be like completely rude and outwardly annoying to her. I genuinely, if that, okay, the video's not about me. No, this is my channel. If that man like dared come to my face, first of all, YouTube for sec, what did I, if that man got in my face and was like, let's do it again, I'd be like, I want you to never contact me again. Ever. Like, if you... In the late season 6, when Charlotte and Harry are officially married and living together, Harry does that thing where he leaves his tea bags all over the place. First of all, I don't really have anything against Harry. I will say that man was, in fact, a figment of my imagination. Like, I genuinely could not believe that he was real. Also, that whole little bit on that episode of him just walking around the house naked, I thought that was a bit. I thought that was that man trying to like buck up and test Charlotte and antagonize and provoke her to see if she would stand up for herself. When I found out that that man was doing it in a very serious way, I can't even express to you in a language that human civilization has made how angry that made me. Okay? Yeah, I think I would have shot that man genuinely if that happened to me. Yeah, it is bad enough that a man is in my house. The fact that he's butterball naked would have to trigger a gene in me that has never been made before. That would, for the very first time, I would be homicidal. I would. And God help, someone in that house better be there to prevent me from acting on it. Unfortunately, when it comes to this, there's just like example after example after example after example. And while these instances obviously showcase that romantic and sexual relationships are imperfect and messy and uncomfortable at times, this behavior raises a profound question about the nature of compromise and assertiveness in relationships. These women and their hesitance to express themselves authentically reflects a broader societal reality of women prioritizing harmony and avoiding confrontation, a pattern that some interpret as a hallmark of womanhood, or even worse, oh Jesus, oh God, girlhood. What got me is that this so clearly contrasts this established image of like what an adult is supposed to be, like an adult woman is supposed to be. An adult woman who very confidently asserts and makes known her needs and her desires and what she likes and what she doesn't like to her male counterparts. If I'm 30 years old, still doing these things, silently anticipating or trying to avoid and curb some kind of repercussion, some kind of punishment, no. And the way I saw it was like a boyfriend and a husband and kids and the family and like a metaphorical white picket fence. These women want these things so bad that they would be willing to put up with a lot of shit for it. A lot. In the earlier seasons when the women were kind of like really going through these guys. Whoa, I didn't mean that to sound so slut-shamey. But they were in like a phase where all of them were kind of like very actively dating. They were putting up with a lot of stuff. I will say specifically Charlotte. Oh, wow. I'm looking at you, Charlotte, babe. But even like Samantha with that guy, his spunk. When does it ever end? Genuinely, like, this is not, I do have a script on the side, but this was me watching the show. I was like, when does this ever end? This plight that women have to go through. When, if it does ever, when does it end? These women are established and privileged in almost every single facet of life. They'll discuss gender roles and being a woman in the 90s and 2000s and work and whatever, which I suppose is what made the show so successful and groundbreaking to begin with, these candid conversations. They're intellectually astute and socially aware, parentheses kind of, it was the 2000s, so... And they're portrayed as knowing better, possessing the knowledge and capability to articulate their desires and boundaries super clearly, yet they often opt for silence or passive compliance to avoid conflict or discomfort. Now, I know that this silence and passivity is something that's very woman, it's very girl, it's unfortunate, it's borderline systemic. You know what it's like, I know what it's like. However, once again, let's Carrie-fy it up. I began to wonder, when does it end? In the spirit of Carrie and her crazy ass, I even made a little column question. I began to wonder, I'm reading off it now, is biting one's tongue and compromising boundaries simply a rite of passage in the collective understanding of womanhood, or does true liberation come from asserting oneself unabashedly, no matter the consequences? Yeah. Let's just sit and let's just silent. We have to silently clock that one for a second. The part that does make it very personal for me, it's almost like holding up a figurative mirror to yourself. Well, I guess I'll say myself. And it's really looking like dating in your 30s is not that different from dating in your 20s. Hey guys, can someone confirm or deny? It's not looking too good out here. It genuinely really is not. It's not. And I'm actually really scared. Who else is really scared? Yeah, me too. No, that's really scary. Does that make sense? Like, the self-assurance and assertiveness and autonomy and everything that comes from adulthood that propels you to properly navigate like a career in life, and you can buy an apartment, and you can buy a credit card, and you can take out a loan, and you can buy a house, and you can have a baby, Does it ever, why doesn't it ever, will it ever properly translate over when it comes to romantic and sexual relationships? That's what I'm saying. I think season 1, as well as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it provides a very compelling narrative that challenges traditional notions when it comes to female maturity and personal growth and societal expectations. I think the portrayal of relationships and careers and self-discovery, it's all very nuanced. I think the earlier seasons, but also the show, encourages viewers to reflect on womanhood and what it means to go through this journey towards personal fulfillment or dating, whatever it is that you're centered towards. And it reminds me that this all takes time. It all takes effort. Rome wasn't built in a day, or whatever the geriatric people, I don't know where did that phrase even come from? Like the silent generation? I don't know. It also reminded me, though, that I was in fact born in the right generation. I was the generation of be bisexual, eat hot chip, lie, iPhone.com, iPhone City. Yes, I was. Like, having to call someone all the time, having to wait on someone, meeting someone with like no ETA. I can't track your location. I can't track your location like you're my little sim. I don't like that. I need to be logged into iPhone.com at all times. I really don't know how the people in the 90s as well as the early 2000s went through. Like, what if an emergency comes up and I'm waiting, like, I get stood up? It's just like, this is gonna sound so like Gen Z coded, but I genuinely like forgot that people went through a time where they just like weren't as plugged in at all times. But maybe that's peaceful. Maybe it's like, maybe this little, whatever. We're not gonna get into that. I also thought, like, how insane it must have been to be in that time. I'm not gonna lie. Now, there were obviously scenes that include people who could have a conversation for more than 6 seconds that would, in fact, pass a Bechdel test, as well as queer scenes, whatever, just like a scene, like clean scenes that didn't, like, revolve around cis straight men. I don't know, it was the 90s in New York City, and I'm sure there was a space for everybody. But if I had to exist in a world full of women, and this is a fictional show, let's get fictional, let's get figurative for a second. If I had to exist in a world full of women that genuinely could not stop talking about how their life both sucks when they do and they don't have a boyfriend, I would kill myself. I'd kill myself. As someone who, I'm not even saying this to like gloat, I've never really been that male-centered. It blows my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. You guys, you want me to lie? We can talk about your boyfriend, okay? We can talk about how he is in fact not shit. We can talk about it for an hour. We can even talk about it for 2 hours. That feels like a little treat, like a little dessert. if you bring up the wrongdoings of a man, and I know him even remotely, I met him genuinely even once for like a half hour. Unfortunately, I do now have enough ammo to metaphorically load a machine gun full of verbal abuse, okay? I do. And I'm not saying I'm proud of it. I'm not saying I'm not proud of it, though. Truly, though, I think 120 seconds is the maximum duration that I can hear about your boyfriend. That's just me. Your pathetic life and how it revolves around men. Because I am, unfortunately, friend who will then metaphorically aim, not shoot, I will aim that machine gun of verbal abuse at you. And I will, in fact, come to question and grow you as to why you're even putting up with this. I love you. I care about you. I know you're not. Okay, so I was talking. I was actually really talking. I love you. I care about you. I know you're not an idiot. Now the question of the hour is why you're putting up with it and why you're making me hear about it. Like, what are we doing, babe? Honestly. Also, stigma surrounding things like mental health. Season 6, episode 3, where Carrie dates that guy that her high school sweetheart, who admits himself into a mental rehabilitation center, and words like crazy and loony are thrown around when it's like just so not a big deal. So not a big deal. I'm like, you're dating a man or you're seeing a man who's like actively trying to better himself mentally. And that's weird because that is just like the early 2000s though. And it does show how much progress we've made when it comes to addressing and destigmatizing these things. A reason why I think this show is so iconic and revered today is because it's still relevant. It stands the test of time, and most importantly, it showcases that the same conversations and the same topics and the same issues are being floated around when it comes to dating even 20-25 years later. Genuinely the same exact thing. Season 6, when Berger, who don't even get me started on Berger. Berger breaks up with Carrie, and she brings up the good guy, bad guy thing, and how avoiding the conversations and like avoiding these things that are genuinely fundamental in a relationship, like, hey, guess what, trying to break up with someone. When you try to be the good guy and you try to float around it, I'm not gonna spoil the way Berger broke up with her, even though, hey, 25-year-old show. These quote-unquote good guys who wake up and then they put on their jacket and their shield of self-deprecation, and they're funny, but they're really broken, and they're really just bad guys. Hey, they're really just bad guys. I have seen TikTok after TikTok after podcast after podcast after clip after clip after clip after clip, genuinely regurgitating the same exact thing. The same thing. It's cyclical, it's exhausting, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, it's life. Dating. So enjoyable. Makes me feel good and cozy. Oh my God, I'm so cozy. Okay, we have to move on to the characters and what I thought about each and every single individual white woman. Let's move on to Carrie first. Dare I say it, I like Carrie. I do. I like Carrie. I was trying to rack my brain around a favorite character. I don't have one. If I did have one, though, it would be Samantha. I think she's self-assured. I think she's confident. And she really does show up for the things and people that she cares about. However, I do think her character is just a little bit underbaked and underdeveloped. If we're trying to flesh out a character like that, I just think there's so much more to that woman who obviously has a very strange sex addiction. Like sex-love addiction. Well, maybe not love, maybe just sex. But, yeah, I don't have a favorite character. I really did try. Anyway, moving back on to Carrie. I think Carrie... Carrie. I think Carrie can be male-centered and selfish and very, like, head in the clouds and dumb and vulnerable. Sorry, I know vulnerable is not really, like, a dig, but we are going to use vulnerable in the derogatory sense here. But I also think that she's passionate and she's funny and she's witty and she's ambitious and she's relatable and she's earnest. Carrie really took me on a roller coaster of emotions. At first I did not care for her, and then I liked her, and I just didn't like her again, and then I liked her. Whatever. Her rough draft letter to Aiden when she was begging for that man back after she cheated on him. Bold, audacious, considering the fact that, hey, she wasn't faithful. She was not faithful in that relationship. The I'm still sleeping on your shoulder when I close my eyes at night. I did, in fact, pause the TV to read the entire letter, or at least all that could fit in that frame. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Look, I know that you're probably scared, and I would be too, but it's different now. Things are different. I'm different. In fact, wait a second. In fact, cigarettes, gone. Seriously, all bad habits gone. This is a whole new thing because I miss you, and I've missed you. And it's not just because you look so good, and you do, and you should know that. But I lie in bed at night, and I think about us, and I think about you holding me, and...
You broke my heart!
If someone cheated on me and they sent me that letter, would I consider taking them back? No. But A for effort. And I would be like, hey, so we're not going to get back together ever. I don't know why you'd ever think that, but you did kind of eat that up, and I will give you your chance for that. I can do that. I'm a reasonable person. She just really wasn't afraid to be seen trying or asking or complaining or yearning, and I really respect that. I really, really admired that. I want to be more like that. I do think that is a character who truly just wears her heart on her sleeve. And she's very loud and proud and unabashed about who she is. And I think that was kind of sick. I gotta give her her 10s. I had to. Now, this is something that we do have to address. Carrie is the main character, okay? The show revolves mainly around her and her column. The way that Carrie acted with Big was genuinely jarring, aggravating, confusing. Carrie was weird. She was weird. She was weird. She was desperate. She was needy. When it came to Big, that girl genuinely lost all of her sense. All of it. Years would pass. Partners would pass. Her and Big would speak and not speak and be close friends, and he'd move away and they blah, blah, blah. And that man would still be on her mental. What? I don't think that's love. I don't think that's infatuation. I think that's genuine psychosis. Behavior like that in the 30s would have costed that bitch a lobotomy. She would have gotten lobotomized. They would have been like, you're not in your right mind. You're behaving you're psycho. Now, I really did try to put myself in Carrie's probably baby feet size, 5.5 Milano Blahniks. Like, I was like, I'll bite, whatever. I'll freakify myself to relate to this character. And I still, well, no. Tell me I'm the one as you're about to step into a car that you're not paying for, to scan a plane ticket that you have not paid for, to go on a Caribbean vacation that, hey, guess what? You didn't pay for. You're insane. You're actually insane. And I think blocking blessings like that is like borderline sacrilegious. I think you should kind of like actually go to hell for it. And I think, I'm not even saying that to be like, I think it's actually in the Bible there somewhere. Also, Big's entire shtick the first season, I did not get it. I thought he was like putting on a thing. The whole like, absolutely baby, and like the abso-fucking-lutely and all that. I genuinely threw me off so bad. I don't know how Carrie was into that. He did mellow out later. The constant kid was pushing it. Granted, he was like geriatric. He was like old as bones, but I was like, what? Whoa. Like, the episode where Big finally asks Carrie out on a date, I was like, whoa, like, this is freaking me out so bad. Why is he acting like that?
I guess you've got it all figured out, Mrs. Blatch.
There is video upon video upon video upon video analyzing Carrie and how to prevent committing all the faux pas that she did with Big. And as admirable as her vulnerability was, and genuinely how she believed in true love and all that, hey, spoiler alert for the 25-year-old show, it was grossly misplaced, okay? I haven't watched Just Like That. I don't really have any interest in watching any show variation that doesn't include Samantha. That's just me, though. Also, spoiler alert, I will tell you right now. When I found out that Big died and then he left everything he had to Natasha, hey! Genuinely speechless. I feel like the wind just got knocked out of me. Also, the way she would, like, Carrie would eat up whatever would come her way. Genuinely. Like, the way that woman would get utterly humiliated by a man just to nonchalantly light up a cigarette and hail a cab in a gorgeous dress to a very glamorous, exclusive party alone. I think one thing I like about Carrie is that, like, she's really resilient. Like, no matter what life would give her, she'll emote, obviously, but, like, she's gonna be fine. Okay, that's a girl who's gonna be okay. She'd do all that, she'd party, she'd go out, and then she'd be up the next day, noon, in her apartment, smoking a cigarette, writing a story, and then she'd go shopping. Real hot girl shit. Season 6, she's dating a whiny, insecure loser burger, and I hated that for her, because around that point, I really did like Carrie, and I will say she tried to make that relationship work so bad. I don't even like keeping self-deprecating friends. I can't imagine having a partner that moves that way. That would be that would be exhausting. Charlie, can I call you Charlie? I think that Charlotte's disposition and overall goals are packaged and presented in a way that's very non-threatening. She's like proudly wasp, this American dream of being a mother and having a family. It's endearing and it is sweet, and she's passionate, but I feel like they're indicative of a very nefarious and insatiable need to fit this mold. I like Charlotte. I do. She's such a sweetie. Genuinely, trademark sweetie syndrome. She's the sweetest girl in the world. Referring to Judaism for a man who would not do the same thing for her. Set the date is insane. Just to get dumped is insane. Like, hey babe, the baldy dumped you. Breaking news, half the press. The baldy dumped you. The baldy dumped you. The gorgeous girl. All-American dream girl, the baldy just dumped you. Like, he was the prize. Imagine that. Her trying to hold back or hold off or cut back on celebrating her second marriage because she felt like it made her kind of like washed up. She had that subconscious thought that it made her like tainted or washed up. She said it wasn't appropriate. Get a grip, girl. Genuinely get a grip and get that stick up out your ass. She would have pissed me off. I went from liking Samantha to kind of being repulsed to liking her again. It's only because I genuinely had never come across a character who was like as ravenous and like hungry for not just sex, but like the lower male extremity. Like, that was genuinely drawing to me. I'm so sorry. Having a friend like Samantha would tweak me out. I'd be like, oh my god, girl, you're weird. Like, you're freaking me out. But I found her genuine and ambitious and kind, at least to her friends. She's like very much like kind, not nice. She wasn't judgmental to anyone in her. She wasn't judgmental to Carrie, even when she definitely should have been. She was willing to try anything once. And she even dated a woman and like braved those homophobic women's remarks about like them suddenly calling her a lesbian. Right, because that woman who genuinely loves men, she starts dating a woman and then she's suddenly like, what, a lesbian? Like nothing in the spectrum, like automatically a lesbian? Right. No, that makes sense. Oh, Miranda is a character that I initially resonated with deeply. She's witty, she's sarcastic, she's driven, she's self-assured, but I don't know. Miranda never really knew what she wanted. She was so insolent and cynical and self-sabotaging when it came to dating and marriage and settling, but then would have literal conniption fits and mental breakdowns on being alone and how she didn't want to end up alone. I'm sorry, like, girl, that pissed me off. That pissed me off. We gotta pick something that we want, we have to pick it, and we have to stick towards it. Like, Miranda's paradox is really evident in her approach to relationships and her commitment to her career and her skepticism towards traditional roles and blah, 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 blah. And her sarcasm and these little remarks would often mask a very profound sense of self-assurance and control, which she would obviously use as a defense mechanism This demeanor is juxtaposed with her internal struggles and fears, which revealed a more vulnerable side that grappled with the anxieties of being alone and the pressure that came from settling down as a woman. Relatable. I get you there, girl. It's like, first it's like, ha ha ha, funny, but then it's kind of not funny at all anymore. And you very quickly realize that this detachment from the idea of romantic commitment, it's very quickly seen as a coping mechanism for her fear of vulnerability and all in all failure. Her decision to prioritize her career over personal relationships, it does appear empowering. You could even say it, comes on from like a feminist perspective, but it serves to isolate her from her deeper emotional connection. However, I do think Miranda's still a character that I deeply resonate with. I think she's very relatable. I think her character revealed a struggle between her self-perception as an independent modern woman and her deep-seated fears when it came to being unloved or unfulfilled in the love department, which I think is immensely relatable, okay? Immensely relatable. They can never make me hate you, Miranda. You frustrate me, babe, but they could never make me hate you. Also, okay, but I will say she does have to get her lashings for Steve. I'm not a Steve fan. I'm sorry. I'm Steve. I look and sound like a cartoon rat, and I'm a certified bum. How are ya? I will say I do think if any of your friends call you the Miranda of the group, they are insulting you. And they're also calling you Butch. Okay, those are all my thoughts. I liked the show a lot. I really, really do. I ran through it really quickly. I enjoyed 5+ seasons. Whoa. 5+ season. Whoa. 5+ season show with like 15+ episodes, and they're like a half hour. I really, really ran through it really quick. And it seems like, well, it is actually quite a rarity in media today. The movies were great. We've really lost like blockbuster movie with guest stars and plot twist and like soundtracks with Fergie in them. Wow. I was going to do a segment in this video where I do rank all of the lovers and boyfriends in the Sex and the City multiverse, but I've already been filming for an hour and I genuinely would like to stop now. This video was already far too long. Just know, I have some notes here. Okay. Aiden is my number one. He is. When that man would have offered to, what did he offer to do? Rip out my floors or something, redo my house. Alexander is my number 2. God, that rich old man would have loved me. He would love me. He'd love me. I would have been, hey, I'm not above playing the exotic, younger, black girlfriend. I will do that. I will do that to live in Paris rent free. Oh, yes, I will. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I'll be the arm candy. I'll be the whatever. I would like run off and go play and be AWOL for 2 weeks. But then I'd be back. This is my girlfriend, Jess, and she's... I'm American, yes. You speak a little bit of French? Oui, je vais parler un peu français. Imagine that. Coach, put me in. I could do... And number 3, Skipper. Yeah, I know, bet you didn't see that coming. Smith Jared, he was really kind, and he was ride or die. He also, like, objectively hot. I don't even like blonde men, but... What did I say about blonde men? I truly believe that like a blonde man can't provide for you. That man would in fact have gotten on my nerves, and we would in fact had to expeditiously break up. But after he said he didn't want to shower because he wanted to keep the scent of Miranda on him post-coitus, disgusting, pathetic. I need it. Special mention, the 35-year-old metrosexual pastry chef that Charlotte dated. We would have gone together real bad. What can I say? I like him real feminine. Okay, bye-bye now.